This is a video response to The Amazing Atheist. Now, I'm not actually just whining about what you said, though, as usual, you're in the uncomfortable position of coming up with the most offensive ways to say something, but you explain why you do that before. That's what people come to your channel for. Again, I can take things with a grain of salt. The only problem that I'd say was with your video was you criticized their solutions, even their possible solutions. You said ahead of time that, I guess if it doesn't make a difference, I don't know what amount of time you're giving, because in reality, things go really, really slowly. First, you start out with something like Amanda Todd, which gets more people to look at the issue. Not because that's the best way to do it, but because biology, that's just how it works. When you put a face on things, it gets people behind it. There is no right or wrong in this. There is no hypocrisy. Let go of all that. There is only the empirical data, unfortunately. Either that's how human biology works, or it does not work that way. Now, if we were in a situation where our society was in a position to overcome that, okay. But no one has even proposed that, so I'm not sure why. That's like saying, why can't people just all never feel untrusting to anyone else? It's like, because it doesn't work that way. Biology doesn't work that way. We're a tribal species. We see those closest to us, you know. So whining about that isn't going to change anything, because even 1,000 years from now, I can't see. I could be wrong. We could be genetically engineering people to be altruistic to everyone. And I think P.C. Myers' accusation of you being a sociopath is a little silly. But I understand where he's coming from. You're criticizing everyone else for using Amanda Todd, but at the same time, you're also using her to make one of those controversial videos you do, which, again, you go overboard to get more views, I guess? I don't know. I'm just going by what you said, that once people come to your channel for the counter opinion or something. Though I'm not going to say you're just a contrarian. You're right about a lot of things. What I will say is this. The solution, like, your solutions were just as ineffectual, like smaller class sizes. Not going to happen until we have campaign finance reform, so that businesses don't just buy it out and push for privatized everything. So that's useless until we have either publicly financed elections or campaign finance reforms. In fact, any possible solution, hypothetically, anywhere, under any conditions, bam, I just undid it because I'm a business and I bought the politicians, and your hard work means nothing. So, while I understand what you're saying, the smaller class sizes, you didn't actually offer any way to address those issues. And I'm not saying that you have a responsibility to do that, but you're forgetting the biggest reason why people don't care about those other people just as much. Despair. People are apathetic because they want to not think about things that bother them. I hate that. I go the extra mile to think about things that bother me, and I don't, that's not like, oh, I'm so much better. That's literally my biology. Something's wrong with me to where I overanalyze everything. So I don't do that because I'm a paradigm of, you know, what's it called? Integrity. That is how I am. So, but, most people mentally avoid things that they know they can't do anything about. You can't do anything about those starving children. until we have a way to have your voice to be equal to that of a rich person. Until then, it's never going to happen under any circumstances, ever. In fact, the US's ability to affect other countries makes it harder for them to do anything about it. Basically, the thing, because it's all they can do, because they don't know what else to do. It's just like when people were praying for the victims of this or that thing. And I'm talking about the people who prayed and gave money. When they see that on a larger scale they really can't do anything. I mean, really, there is nothing. Like the teacher strike. It might have changed the dialogue, but it really didn't do a damn thing to address any of those issues, because it doesn't matter how much you strike. It doesn't matter how much. You can't do anything until we somehow have an equal voice. You might say, why would I bring this up? Well, you brought the class sizes in school. But I'd say that's the reason why, because most people realize that this is the only way. It's this or nothing. Because people don't have the power to change things. We might have used to have the power to change things back when we had a democracy. We kind of have a plutocracy now, so that might be why. Because they know they can't do anything at all. The same thing with the starving children. How long have we had charities playing sad music and picking the cutest children out of a group of starving children? A long time, right? Well, luckily we've fed all those starving children. Oh, that's right, we haven't, because we can't. You know, those who don't care simply don't care. They're not watching this video, and they didn't watch your video. Those who do care, who wish they could be a sociopath, no, we can't do shit for nothing until we have an equal voice, and we're not going to until we have some but anyway, despair. That's the answer to your question. The answer to all of those questions, why is she more important? She's not. It's just, that's how humans work. You're not going to get change until you can focus it around something that's not an abstract to people. Now, you might say that's an excuse, but excuses don't matter. You know, either you do something that's effective or you do not. As far as I'm aware, there's no right and wrong beyond that. You choose a goal, making the world, say, trying to get people to, trying to increase equality. And then you pursue those goals, and there are right and wrong things based on those goals. But it's just what more effectively achieves your goal. If you become a total hypocritical douchebag to achieve your goals, well, that actually goes against your goals. That's wrong because it doesn't achieve what you're trying to achieve. So it doesn't matter. I mean, it doesn't matter in the way that there's nothing we can do about it. That's just how, again, until we have a way to affect things, we all know we can't do shit. What could we possibly do? Maybe if, I don't know why, but again, I'm surprised you said you don't know why people flock to one person. And that's been shown scientifically why people flock to one person. I forget what it's called, but if people hear about a neighbor that burnt to death, they're gonna feel much closer. It's gonna affect them much more than someone in the county, and that's going to affect them more than someone in the state. And that's just reality. To question that is to question, why do we feel more empathy for a child that dies as opposed to an adult. Yeah, it's called biology. You might as well ask people to choose who they're, and this is going to be a weird comparison, but it's all, choose who they're attracted to. That's just as biologically pointless as to tell people who don't naturally feel empathetic towards all human beings to feel that way. One, they don't care. How would they, you know, they just don't feel that way. Just like you can't. Now, this might be defeatist or something. I don't know. It could be, but that's just the way things are. The reason they're that way is because they're that way. That's how we evolved. There's nothing we can do about that. And we're about 100, 200 years away from getting above that. There's just too many forces fighting with an infinite amount of money against that. Like the whole too many kids in the... That's not going... You know, there are people fighting against that, kind of, but it's not going to work because anything they do will just be reversed or ineffectual, watered down, purchased. So I guess that's why. And I think the reason why P.Z. Myers might have called you a sociopath is, like I said, you're doing essentially the same thing. You're just using her in the opposite. I guess you're using the people who are using her. But, I don't know. When you have people who are trying to do something and they're just trying to make themselves feel better, it puts you in a position to where you have a choice between those people and the people who just don't care. When you convince people that they're just doing it to make themselves feel better, it doesn't push them in the direction you want. It instead pushes them in the opposite direction. They look at people trying to help and they're like, you're wasting your time. Is that the best way to achieve the goal you're trying to achieve? Maybe. I don't know. You might be right. I don't think it is. I think it's the opposite. But, again, I don't think the goal you're trying to achieve is purely solving the problem. I think the goal you're trying to achieve is one you've said before. You want to still have a platform to where people will listen to you, you know, more subscribers. So you're gonna say it in a George Carlin type of way, though I don't think any of us can say we're anywhere near as elegant as Carlin. Carlin got his points across without implying that those who do know about the things happening around them are just faking it. For instance, how do you discern the difference between someone who does flock around Amanda Todd simply because, again, despair? We know we're ants. We can't do shit. We're nothing. Those with more money simply have more voice than we do. Those who don't care are the majority. This is how it starts. You put a face on it, and hopefully you get just some of those people who don't care, which is the majority of the human race, to do something, anything, at least get them to look in a direction. So in a sense, it's manipulating those people you're talking about. Those people are a means to an end. The people who are thumbing up the Amanda Todd thing, they're a means to an end, to try to get those who would actually do something about it to pay attention, or to get their attention, or even to put pressure politically on someone to pay attention in local elections, the Senate or the House. It doesn't matter. So, yeah, tell me, how would you tell the difference between those two? And why shouldn't those who genuinely feel despair because they know they can't do anything about it, they really can't. Again, those who have power, infinitely stronger than those who don't right now. we're purchased. We just are. There's nothing we can do about it outside of, I don't know, I guess like a wolf pack and stuff like that. But other than that, we got nothing, man. We got nothing. That's why I think people are flocking around Amanda Todd, because they know deep down they can't do anything else. There's nothing they can do. Aside from spending the next 10 years going to law school, which just sounds awful, by the way. I hate the way the law works right now. But anyway, other than spending their entire life fighting what they perceive to be a losing battle, there is nothing they can do. And a lot of them don't know that what they're doing is a waste of time. And when you present them with the alternative, and you really didn't. You presented them with other problems that they also can't fix. Because no politician, very few politicians, except, I'm not going to get into that. The few, maybe I'll make another video about that. Aren't talking about that. They're just not. They don't have a choice between politicians who will do something and politicians who won't. They have a choice between politicians who are slightly less purchased and politicians who are completely purchased. They know they can't run for office to change anything. They know also what should they do? What could they do? That might be... I know your channel, you basically just ask questions and try to bring attention to people's hypocrisy, I guess. But I think you might be off base on this one, because it's like a group of... well, it's like a group of poor people meeting in a room to talk about what they're gonna do to turn the situation around in like the 1700s. They're gonna do nothing but talk about how angry they are because they can't do anything. They're ants. We're ants. Those with a naturally high IQ will say that those are beetles. A little bit higher than ants, maybe. That's I don't know how a beetle is objectively higher than an ant, but bear with me. Those who have a naturally high IQ and are competent and confident, maybe they're I don't fucking know. You get the analogy. The reason they do that is despair more than it is trying to just make themselves feel better. Oh, I'm so morally superior. What's more likely is that they're saying, oh, I can make a difference. I'm not completely powerless. I'm not completely nothing. And you're a cynic. I understand you're going to see things in the most cynical way every single time. Like the thing you said, the petitions are useless, when in one instance they actually did make a difference. They got enough word around, which put enough pressure on the president to bring that up in the UN, the whole kill the gays bill, remember that? Most of the time they do nothing, but what's the alternative? The alternative is nothing. The alternative is to look on in despair as those higher powers, the military-industrial complex, the businesses, the religious right, they have all the power and we have nothing. So that's the biggest reason why. And that actually, I don't know why PZ Myers said that shit. He'll say you're a sociopath. I wish he would have been more nuanced, but he might actually think you're a sociopath. You didn't really offer any alternatives, and that's why your videos... I'm surprised it didn't catch more flack. I'm actually glad it didn't. I'm glad people watched it all the way through. Not that it got better, it was just as insulting. Only because you offered no possible alternatives but that people are vile and hypocrites. You didn't offer a fact that people maybe feel powerless, that they know they can't do anything, that they know they can't do anything about the people being bullied. What the hell could they possibly do? Join the PTA? Teachers can't do shit about it either. They're again, it goes up the list. You literally mentioned every reason why people can't do shit. We can't do anything because the teachers need to be able to pay more attention to bullying behavior. They're the ones who are physically there when it's happening. They're around. They can't do shit because they have too many kids in the class at one time. The people above them can't do shit because they don't have millions of dollars to change the situation. And from then on, no one wants to do shit because they're sociopaths, like P.Z. Myers accused you of. I don't think you're a sociopath. I think you're a cynic to a fault. That is, imagining that you might be able to make a difference seems to make you angry for some reason. I could be totally wrong. I'm not playing armchair psychologist. I'm just trying to offer an alternative to what P.Z. Myers said, not to what you feel or whatever. I don't know. It just seems... You talk about the Amanda bandwagon, but I agreed with you, and my response was to not make a video about that. It kind of seems like you also jumped on the Amanda bandwagon so that you can sort of make a point and get a lot of views. Which is undoubtedly probably the case, though I think everyone does that. Again, I think it's... Why? Because that's how reality works. That's my response to your video. I don't know if you're going to dismiss this or not. I can't ask you to make a video response or do a comment, because that would seem like anyone who asks that is like, why would he respond to you? You have no substance. So how about this? If you could take the time to watch this video, could you maybe please PM me? Because I'd really like your response on this, because you've done this more than once. You've made it seem like that anyone who's not doing anything, rather than knowing that they're powerless and that they can't, that they somehow are just hypocrites, that everyone who donates any money to something is... I don't want to put words in your mouth, but they do it because they know they can't do anything else. Because we're bugs compared to those with money, compared to those with religious pull, compared to those with political pull. We're nothing. We live in a country where we are less than nothing. And that's why people don't do anything, because we know we're ants, because we can't. I guess it's good that you're also never giving them a break, you know, always fighting hypocrisy when you see it, but sometimes the lesser of two evils is all you have. I don't know. This video went on way too long. This might seem incredibly naive, but I always end my videos by saying this. Maybe I'm one of those people who you're talking about. If that's true, I'm a moral nihilist. I want a more empathic world. I don't really believe in right and wrong, so even if you're right, it doesn't really bother me. Maybe I am one of those people, but this is what I end my videos with. Until my next video, try to make the world a better place, and I will too.